Fantasy is life. Let's get it cracking.
Oh, Ben, I needed to take a couple of minutes here at the top of the show to say that if Geno Smith doesn't F you while he's on your roster, he'll F you while he's on. Well, not even. I'm playing the Saints defense last night, and I have Jameis Winston, and I have the lead with by 4 points. And in the final drive of the game, sacks are worth 2 or something like that, or 2-point lead. He gives up 2 sacks. All he has to do is just throw incompletions or drive down the field and score for Seattle. Doesn't matter. Scoring's even better for me.
Yeah.
This asshole gets sacked twice. Not only that, leaves enough time on the clock where Jameis Winston has to take a couple of knees, and I lose by 0.3 points in my Yahoo.
Oh, my gosh.
I was freaking out there, and my wife is like, it's just a game. It's just a game. And I go, yeah, but I'm losing to idiots. Like, I'm literally losing to idiots right now. And she's like, but you're losing. So what does that say about you? And I was like, you're right. You're right. I'm an idiot too. I was insane. I'm like, Gino, you suck so bad that I didn't even put you anywhere near my roster. You have almost single-handedly ruined DK Metcalf for fantasy football owners. And somehow he still snuck in the back door and just beat me over the head and took everything I owned.
Well, Tony, I just gotta, I have one thing for you.
You gotta trust the process, baby. You gotta trust the process.
It'll all work out. Those idiots will see themselves out the door. You won't even have to kick them because they know where the door is. And when you win eventually, because it will happen, those idiots will be like, wow, I'm an idiot.
I do believe I will win. Let me ask you this. I haven't played in a Yahoo league in a while. Is it standard in Yahoo for people to be able to drop players on their bench that have already played? Or is that a glitch in our setting? It is.
No. It's standard, yeah.
So that's a Yahoo standard setting.
Yeah. And I don't know if you can do that in Sleeper or not. I don't think I've tried it, but I know in Yahoo you can. Like, I had to drop Jarvis Landry this week because he was still plugged into my IR, and Antonio Brown went out, so I had to pick someone up, so that kind of sucked. But
yeah, because the guy I was playing, he didn't have a kicker started, and he didn't have anybody in his running back spot because Najee Harris was on a bye, and he had forgot to set his lineup. I go, great, I'm going to get a bye. About 40 minutes before kickoff, he was able to drop a bunch of players that had already played, and I was like, whoa. So I'm like texting the commissioner. He's like, I'm kind of new to this too. And I was like, yeah, but you can't just have somebody on your bench, and then what happens if they get injured? Then you can just drop an injured player and pick up somebody else that you don't even need just to have on your bench? Like, that's stupid.
Yeah, I mean, the thought process behind it, in my opinion, is that, you weren't going to play them anyways, so might as well be able to drop them. And, I understand the frustration with that, but, at the same time, if they took the chance of not playing them, it didn't really hinder, in my opinion, much of anything except your bye week.
Hindered me from winning.
Yeah.
Because then this jerk off picked up Alex Collins, who I purposely dropped so he wouldn't be available till Monday.
So it's
waited.
Really personal.
This guy just completely clubbed me over the head. I'm not joking. He used Alex Collins against me. The Saints defense outscored Geno Smith, and then he wins. And I had Jameis Winston, who was going to get me the win. I mean, Jameis wasn't good anyway. Jameis is done too. I said I would go to bat for Jameis for the rest of my life if he just had the game of his life on Monday. Every argument, I would defend Jameis to death. Now he's dead to me.
Well,
done.
I mean, you may want to rethink that because Michael Thomas comes back either this week or next week. So
I already cut him on all 3 rosters. Just woke up this morning and cut him on all 3 rosters.
You're dead. You're dead.
Yep.
You're dead.
One of them I don't need him because I have Herbert, and then
Yeah.
another one, it's like I have him and Kirk Cousins, and I was like, no, you're done. You'll never play for me again, no matter what. You take a knee, you dive forward and get me fantasy points. Don't take a knee. Don't do the honorable thing. Run the score up like Bill Belichick would want you to.
Well, welcome to this episode of Rent and Vent with Tony Tucker and Ben Dunna. Benny Buckets in the house.
How was your weekend in fantasy?
It was amazing. So literally the exact opposite. In the Live Las Vegas League, I did lose to one of my counterparts who is representing Fantasy ShotCallers in the league, so I'm okay with that. Shout out Amber Phillips. She beat me with Jameis Winston and the Saints defense, but that's because Patrick Mahomes had an 8-point game and Darnell Mooney can't catch the ball to save his life, while Justin Fields is pulling a Sam Darnold and Zach Wilson and seeing ghosts against Tom Brady and that Bucs defense.
The worst thing about fantasy football is Patrick Mahomes cost me a victory against the football therapist, but then in my league that I've been in for 13 years, that guy had Patrick Mahomes and still beat me because of all the buys I had. So it was like I had got Chinese finger trapped on that one, just like terrible.
But like all in all, I went 9-2. So I mean, I'm pretty happy about that. I mean, you can't really ask for much more unless, going undefeated, but that seems a little greedy. And on Sleeper, I went, I think, 5-1 or 6-1 or something like that. So it was nice.
In 8 leagues, I've had 5 total victories in the last 2 weeks. It's just been the brutal show for me. And in 4 of the matchups, I have lost less than 3 points in 4 of those matchups.
You and my co-host would have a lot to talk about because he has literally the same exact thing over the past 2 weeks.
It's just been brutal. And so this morning I just woke up scorched earth. I just dropping people left and right. Everybody who I never want to say their name again, they're all just being dropped from my roster. Shout out, Sarge. Appreciate you coming in here. Derrick Henry guy should not only be the MVP of fantasy, the MVP of real football too. He's an absolute monster. Love watching Derrick Henry play football.
Shall we dive into a little QB action?
Yes, we shall. Let's do it.
So, I have 2 QBs that are worth rostering this week. That'll be from the Indianapolis Colts, double man of glass, broken ankle, sprained ankle guy, Carson Wentz. He's owned in 38% of Yahoo leagues, so I would go out and scoop him if you have the likes of Derek Carr, or the likes of Sam Darnold, who sucks, or the likes of Lamar Jackson, New Era 1. And also, Tua had a game. Oh, man. And I called it in the pregame show, and I knew Younghoe Koo was going to be that shoe and kick it through the posts to win the game. And he did. I said 50-yarder. Wasn't really 50. It was like 30-something. But nevertheless, the Dolphins lose again. Shout out Piggy Bank Picks. And but Tua looked really good. Mike Gesicki is looking like that top 7, pretty much top 5 tight end that the Fantasy ShotCallers endorsed at the beginning of the season. Weren't you on that episode, the tight end episode?
I was on the tight ends episode. I do not remember where I had Gesicki.
We were pretty close. We were pretty close with you.
Yeah, I think Gesicki. I had him at 7 or 8. I had Goddard in that range, but yeah.
And Jalen Waddle is the number 1 wide receiver on that team, no matter when and if Devontae Parker comes back or Will Fuller. Jalen Waddle, this rookie wide receiving class is looking really prominent compared to last year. Devontae Smith will pick it up. I just think he's having a little growing pains. The Eagles aren't really winning. They're getting off to a late start. So, yeah, that's pretty much on the QB side. Everyone else kind of sucks.
Devonta Smith is having a little bit of Jalen Hurts pain because the O-line can't block. He's scrambling. Everything is sort of like off-schedule throws from Jalen Hurts, and Jalen Hurts is crushing it in fantasy in that very Blake Bortles kind of way, and that, very Tim Tebow-esque where it's late, garbage time, don't hurt me. I think you also, if I'm just recapping on last week's show, you gave a shout out to Tua telling people to start him. I did not listen. I went the Winston route because he's on Monday night, and I love that, and it cost me a couple of victories. I also gave love to Carson Wentz, saying that he has 4 consecutive good matchups in a row. Like, really, they play some opportunities for Wentz to have it. I didn't listen to myself in anything. I didn't listen. I'm addicted to having players on Monday night. I love having players, especially if I can get a quarterback filling in on a bye week on a Monday night. And this happened because Ryan Tannehill, about 6 or 7 years ago, had his last good game with Adam Gase on Monday Night Football and won me a fantasy league on a scramble by like 1.9 points. And it was the greatest feeling I ever had, and I became addicted to it. I was like, I'm hooked.
I'm hooked.
Hooked up good and proper. Just like, what's that again? I forget. The Town. There we go. The Florist. Mike G is that guy. Yes, he's been playing sensationally. Carson Wentz has been balling. He has, and the Colts are going to try and, make a run at a playoff spot, which is, it's interesting, and they should be good, especially when
they were the
Andrew
best.
Luck heads into retirement.
Yeah, 0-3 team when they were 0-3. And speaking of, last thing on quarterbacks, the New York Football Jets, the sorriest team in the league, my love and my pride and my joy, they just traded a 6th-round pick for Joe Flacco. They just, got him back. But what that means, in my opinion, when the Jets, Joe Flacco lost every game that he played with the Jets, all right? But that's neither here nor there because we're not here about actual football winning games. We're talking about fantasy here. And that impacts a lot of Michael Carter, Corey Davis, and Jamison Crowder, all right? So I would look for a boost in their production because, nevertheless, he's not going to run the ball. Joe Flacco, I mean. And also, he's good. I mean, he's a proven passer, even though he's going to, throw interceptions. He's not one to pick up. But if Michael Carter or Michael Carter or Jamison Crowder are on the waiver wire, I would look at scooping them, especially if you're needy for wide receivers. But I mean, the wide receiver buy this week isn't that crazy.
Yep. Joe Flacco walked into the Jets locker room today.
I'm thinking I'm back.
He went full Johnny Wick on that locker room. I agree with you too. I'm very excited because I have some Corey Davis stock that I'm hoping is there for me. Let's talk about the RB situation on the waiver wire.
So, all right. Coming out of Patriots camp, fun fact to know and tell, Randre Stevenson got benched because he missed one block that led to a sack. That's why he didn't play last week. Like, Bill Belichick gives no you-know-what because that's crazy. You miss one block and you're benched for the foreseeable future, pending practice. I agree with Sarge. They should have signed Cam Newton, and somebody better sign him. I agree. I mean, I don't know why he's not in Seattle. I don't know why, obviously, he's not on the Jets right now. Let's see. Who else is struggling?
I think those are the two spots where Cam is an upgrade, at least for the 4 weeks. Because I don't think Russell Wilson is coming back in 2 weeks. Like they said 4 weeks. I mean, the dude has mallet finger. I didn't even know what that is. It sounds horrible, though. Mallet finger? Like, you don't want that.
So, with running back, though, Rhamondre Stevenson and Brandon Bolden, they're both under 15% owned in Yahoo leagues. So, I mean, it's kind of the best that we got. What's up, same old sports? How we doing? How we feeling? How we living? And the other one is another if one, too, that people were high on at the beginning of the season in Kenneth Gainwell. He's owned in 23% of Yahoo leagues. and I don't know. He's iffy as well. You should call this show Old Man and His Young Friend.
This doesn't make any sense because it's about fantasy football. This isn't just a talk show. But yes, let's get back to Gainwell. Taking shots at the elderly. You should be ashamed. Get in school and learn something. Crack a book.
You too good for your school? So with Gainwell, he's had one boom game where he had over 20 points, no, he didn't. He had 17.9. Last week he had 12. But like if you look at the usage, I mean, even last week he only had 5 attempts on the ground. All right, so that doesn't prove very fantasy worthy. I think this week is kind of a wash at running back unless there are like some higher owned people like Michael Carter, or I mean, even if like I don't know, but I think it's kind of a wash. What do you think about running backs this week?
So I like Gainwell's opened up opportunity because I think he's really good in the passing game, and I think there's an opportunity just more snaps on there. Maybe they run him a little bit more. Maybe he hands off a little bit more. It looked like they were trying to run. Him, Boston Scott, they're both dart throws. If you are having to start them, like I have to start Gainwell in one league this week, which is fine. I started him a couple weeks ago. He got me 1.1 points. I put him back on my bench this week when I could have used him in a deeper league, and he scored a bunch of points. So between A.J. Dillon and Kenneth Gainwell, they're both just going to take turns doing dirty things to me. But
dirty.
Yes, as far as the Randre Stevenson thing, this is a quote from Bill Belichick.
Your failures!
Every single time somebody makes one mistake, he's just
done.
like, you're done.
Done.
You're dead.
Done.
He just, go to the bench. Never seen from when he fumbled that ball in week 1. The only reason that Damian Harris still has a job is because he's the most reliable. But he's had some big fumbles. That fumble against the Dolphins, the Patriots should be 4-3 right now.
Oh yeah, I agree. I said something about that on the podcast that released today on all streaming platforms. But like, I mean, the Patriots. I mean, I think the Patriots should be potentially 5-2 right now. I would even go because I mean, look, they've had a chance to win in every single game except for when they played the Saints, right? They could have won against the Bucks. They could have won against the Cowboys as well. And so, I mean, that just speaks to, the inexperience, and honestly, the inexperience on the defensive side too.
Well, I'll say this about Rhamondre Stevenson and why you want to play him. He's going to be getting a few carries against the Chargers this weekend, and that's all you need is a few carries. You might think that he put on his LeGarrette Blount costume in that game. Like, he's going to be any opportunity he gets, holes are like this big. No joke. He could go through it twice. It doesn't even matter. So I do think it's a crapshoot, but you got to pick what you need. Do you need the boom or do you need the floor? That's the way I look at these running backs. And 100%. I would take the floor and Scott and maybe Stevenson and in the boom. Or I mean sorry, I fucked up. You know what I'm saying, people. Oh, goodness. I'm all flustered now. Let's talk about wide receivers.
Wide receivers, this, I believe, because he's on a bye, is last call for Rashad Bateman. He has looked good in both games. His first 2 games in the NFL after being drafted and coming off injury, he will snipe passes away from Hollywood Brown. And, I mean, honestly, because we're saying he's going to snipe passes from Hollywood Brown, it might be a nice time to buy low on Hollywood Brown as well. So, Rashad Bateman, he's owned in 32% of Yahoo leagues. Next is a guy that everyone thought was going to be fine, was going to be great. He got injured in week 2 after putting up 2 duds. in Russell Gage of the Atlanta Falcons. He's only owned in 10% of Yahoo leagues. He was a primed wide receiver 2 for the Atlanta Falcons before the year started. I remember a lot of mock drafts taking him in the 9th or 10th round and kind of looking like a steal. He hasn't until last week, but no one had him, so it's okay. And if you had him, you definitely didn't start him, like me in one of my leagues. Lastly, and this is a big if, because this guy has kind of the Christian Kirk syndrome from last year, but with Devante Adams going down due to COVID protocols and then playing on Thursday, I am crossing my fingers. I'm crossing my toes that Devante Adams can clear because he is vaccinated. All he has to do is provide 2 tests within 48 hours, but we'll see. And that wide receiver is Allen Lazard of the Green Bay Packers. He's only owned in 6% of Yahoo leagues. He kind of went off last week. So you could go and scoop him up. I know a lot of these wide receivers aren't super exciting, and they could boom. They could definitely bust. But you know what it is. You just kind of got to roll with the punches. And with wide receivers this week, you're not really missing much. What? You're missing Hollywood Brown, Rashad Bateman, Hunter Renfrow. I mean, if you had Darren Waller in a flex, which I highly doubt. But, I mean, you should be sitting pretty.
Yeah, you should be. And really the only injury is it's not even an injury, it's the COVID protocol for Devante Adams. So I do like Allen Lazard. He said touchdowns in back-to-back weeks, which is great. You know, like getting more targets, getting to be a bigger part of that offense. So I like the Allen Lazard one. The Russell Gage one, to me, feels like I'm only ever going to feel comfortable starting him is if there's like a little bit of a banged up from one of the other guys, Ridley or Pitts or whatever, because they're using Patterson all over the place, targets, rushes, whatever. So it's like he's really kind of like a fourth option in that offense. But you put him there. Just made the biggest fantasy trade of my season. Well, don't tease the people. Put it in the chat, Samuel Sports.
Great context.
Yeah. This is like, you don't tell your like, I just saw the hottest chick. Well, I didn't see her, so don't tell me about it. Come on. What are you doing? There we go. I gave up Gibson, McLaurin, and Pittman, and I got Barkley, AB, and Tony. Whew.
Well, you probably, I don't know what you were thinking, but you know, you have 2 players or 3 players that are all injured. I understand you may be buying low on them, but that's given up a pretty penny. And
yeah, I don't know that I would have given up healthy McLaurin, healthy Pittman. He is a Giants fan, so it's probably nice to have Barkley and Tony on your team and AB when healthy. And I really hope AB gets out there and plays this week because the Lattimore Shadow matchup with Mike Evans, that they're going to go off, those two. They go back and forth all the time. So you know that Brady, smartest quarterback, you know, Peyton Manning, whatever, he's going to look for where the mismatch is, and it's probably going to be Godwin, Brown, you know, whoever's there. Maybe if Gronk's back, Gronk can get out there and spike and eat and do all that fun stuff. Do you have any tight ends to discuss? I know
yes, I do.
Let's do it.
Don't get too excited because it was tight end week last week. It was National Tight End Day. So I have 2. One is, of course, the guy, CJ Uzoma. He's owned in 20% of Yahoo leagues. He went off again, but be wary because there's a lot of mouths to feed on that Bengals offense. Also, he only had 3 targets. He caught all 3 for 91 yards and 2 TDs. He looks like a big playability, but at the same time, he's not being targeted as much. T. Higgins had a down week, but you can't ask for more than 15 targets. He just didn't catch the ball. You can't ask for more, all right? Jamar Chase has that huge playability. It's going to come back and bite people in the buttocks, but T. Higgins will be producing a lot more as the weeks go on because he is still that number 1 target for Joe Burrow, in my opinion.
Yeah, I love T. Higgins. Everybody who watches enough on this channel knows that I support T. Higgins as much as I possibly can. I'll say this about the Uzoma thing. In the wake up call on Sunday morning, I was telling somebody on there, I was like, yeah, of course start C. Higgins. What are you afraid of CJ Uzoma? And then this one guy in my league who has like one win beat me this week because CJ Uzoma was a starting tight end. And I had Robinson on a bye, Zeke on a bye, Cousins on a bye. Like half my team was just like out. Like I was starting just Ayuk and St. Brown and just like bums all the way down. That just gave me zeros. St. Brown, 0 targets. Thanks a lot, Goff. 0 targets for Amon-Ra St. Brown. Are you kidding me?
And the other tight end I have here is your boy up in the North Country in Gerald Everett. He's owned in 30% of Yahoo leagues, and I think he will have a breakout game against the who are they playing this?
I think they're playing the Jags, right?
The Jags, yes. Yeah. So I think he'll have a good game. Geno Smith will have to throw it to a big body. They have to win this game because if they don't win this game, Russell Wilson, what's the point in coming back? So he is owned in only 30% of Yahoo leagues. I could see him scoring a biscuit this week and, having about 60 yards and a couple receptions, and that's really what you can ask for a waiver wire tight end.
Yeah, I think that I would throw some love out there for Jared Cook. They're starting to get on the same page. I'm not sure what his roster percentage is, but if he's available out there, he's starting to get on the same page with Herbert. And the MO for Belichick is usually to take away the best weapons he can, right? Yeah. Which is going to be Keenan or Mike, one of those type of situations, which means more passing work for Eckler out of the backfield and Jared Cook on those little like kind of drag routes or, slip, whatever they call them. I don't know. But I would throw some love out there for Goff.
Yeah, 44% in Yahoo leagues. So he should.
He's owned how much?
44%.
Okay, so he's there. People look for Goff to get some love in this game.
Not Goff
against the Patriots.
Goff. Do not pick up Jared Goff.
Jared Cook. I keep saying Goff because Jared, they share the same name. Jared Cook. We're talking about.
They were both found at Subway, but that's neither here nor there.
Yes, they both went to Jared. The Gerald Everett thing, I need that to happen because last night there were some opportunities, but it is Geno Smith. And as soon as it looked like Wilson was starting to target Everett more, he ends up with old crooked finger and he's out for 4 to 6, 8 weeks. So we'll see what happens there. Is there anybody that you're looking at that's sort of like down the road? Like, would you consider like picking up any of these, like if Trey Lance is available, like if he, Michael Thomas is another guy, like, are you putting these kind of guys on your bench?
If Michael Thomas is on your waiver wire, you got to go out and scoop him like right now.
Okay.
Open up another web browser on your computer or on your phone and go get him right now. Because there's no reason why he shouldn't be owned in leagues. You can put him in that IR spot. Unfortunately, if you do have running back trouble, like 80% of fantasy players this year, putting people on IR, and that sucks. But like, if you have multiple IR spots and you have Michael Thomas, there's no reason why he should be on that waiver wire. None. 0, zip, zilch. Because Deontay Harris ain't nothing. Marquez Callaway is a preseason bust, and I regret ever even wasting a draft pick on him. He is all boom, all bust, all the time. So it's like he's another one that you should drop right along with Jameis Winston.
Yeah, there's a bunch of them that I'm just like, here's the door, Brandon Ayuk. Here's the door, Amon-Ra St. Brown. Here's the door. It's getting really close with Allen Robinson too, because I looked at the roster and I just don't see where it gets better for this team. And this offensive line is bad. Like, okay, Alan, you got to go.
So, I mean, it all really relies on the offensive line because, look, Justin Fields succeeds when he gets time in the pocket, right? His O-line is horrendous, averaging him only like 2.63 seconds per snap, all right? When he was in college, the offensive line was giving him 3.11 seconds, 3.11 seconds. So that doesn't seem like a lot, but in the NFL, that's a huge difference, okay? The Bears' offense is also broken, so like Darnell Mooney is also a fade as well. Like I kind of said earlier, Justin Fields was seeing ghosts, and that Tampa Bay Buccaneers, it was like Bruce Arians, Tom Brady, and Bill Belichick all had like lunch at a fancy New England establishment, and Tom Brady was like, "Hey, first dad, can you tell my second dad about that one defense that like my other dad wanted you to do? Come on, dads, just get along."
Oh, from the show My Two Dads, a sitcom from the late 80s, early 90s. Here's my thing. When I see Justin Fields on the bench like this, I assumed Nagy took him out of the game. I just assumed Nagy was like, "Oh, you're done, kid." And he went back in after that posture. Like, how do you look over and go, "Hey, Foles, let's get some pads on and get out there," or Dalton, finish this game off? But even those veterans are like, "I don't want to go out there," and like they're like, "I'm not even trying to take a shower after this game." Like,
yeah, exactly.
Like, just let the kid get out there. Everybody in Chicago has been clamoring for him. Just let him get out there and just get toasted. Like his posture at one point, he looked like my children when I tell them that they can't have the whipped cream on top of syrup on top of the chocolate chip pancake. Like, it's like, okay, it's enough. And they're just like, "But Dad, Mom."
Yeah.
Like, Justin Fields was pissed.
I mean, he's irate. I would be too. The play calling is lackluster at best. And the other thing is the wide receivers have been absolute garbage, absolute trash. He is putting I agree there, bud. He is putting the ball in their hands. They're just not catching it. And speaking of people that aren't catching the ball, OBJ, drop him now.
Oh.
There's no reason to have him in your lineup. I mean, hopefully he just gets injured. If you still have him in your lineup, put him in the IR spot, pick up someone else. But he left all of his offensive catching ability at MetLife Stadium and like kind of transferred over his catching soul to Danny Dimes with that one-hand catch.
I love it. I hope that they do some sort of like GIF where they mock it, where it looks like they're making the same exact play. Very, very good stuff today. Follow Ben. His links are down in the description there. Check him out. Fantasy ShotCallers. Give a more detailed description of where you would like people to go.
So, Instagram, fantasy_ShotCallers, all streaming platforms, including a new one called Verbal. It's an easy app. Download it. It's easy. Forget about it. Also, the Fantasy Football Network, I do Tackling the Tailgate. You get to watch me cook, learn some new stuff, and listen to fantasy advice. What could you ask for more? Myself and my co-host, Zach Attack Verney, are going live for another Waiver Wire segment, and we're stacking, we're racking, and we're ranking all of the top 20 of each position for fantasy purposes week to week on Stacking the Studs. And, TikTok. Coming out with a new TikTok this week. I just got to figure out what it is. You want to comment or DM me what you want me to do? I'm down with it, baby. Fantasy is life.
Dunna's DMs are open. That's a search engine you want to go down right there. Warzone Sports Network, we got shows all day into the crosshairs, 3:30, 4 o'clock, Sports Force, 5 o'clock, Ballers Report, 6 o'clock, laughing quietly to myself all day long, talking NBA, MLB, NBA, NFL, sports, yelling, shouting at a bunch of grown-ups who do stuff that we wish we could do, but since we can't do it, we'll just make fun of them. here on the Warzone Sports Network. We appreciate your time, Ben. Appreciate you. We'll
I
be
appreciate
back.
having me. Yeah.
We will be back, everybody. Forget about it, bro.
Forget about it. Hey, what you
Forget
gonna
about
do?
it.